Hold on. I think you broke me.
Good morning, Vietnam!
If you shoot me in a dream, you better wake up and apologize.
Bring me everyone. What do you mean everyone?
Everyone!
And thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Containment Unit. I am Tony.
I'm Lindsay.
And for this episode, it's I would say a little late review, but it's because it took us a few weeks to see it. We're talking about Black Panther, which right off the bat, this is going to be a very positive review.
Yeah.
I've been struggling. It's been about a week or so since we've seen it.
Something like that, yeah.
And I'm still trying to think of bad points. Yeah, I mean, I know there was some, but just by the end of I take that back. There was a bad point to the movie.
Really? Where?
Okay, and I would like to start off with the bad point.
Okay.
A public service announcement. Apparently, there's something people are not aware of. If you're watching a movie in a theater...
Oh, gosh, yeah.
Shut the fuck up. Seriously, I cannot believe in 2018 we have to remind people to not talk in a damn movie theater.
Yeah.
I am still raging over... I was so irritated. So normally when we go see movies, we either go to Studio Movie Grill or Alamo Drafthouse. And both of those, especially Alamo Drafthouse, fantastic when it comes to the rules about not talking during a movie.
Right.
And it's kind of funny that they have the best rules about it when they have full service, like menus and waiters and waitresses are coming and going.
There's gonna be some chatting because the waiters are talking to you for a second.
Exactly, but they're always, okay, what can I get you? Okay, okay, thank you. And they're done. It doesn't bother the people around you. It's perfect. It's a perfect scenario.
That chatter is expected.
Exactly.
You know?
But with Studio Movie Grill and, like I said, especially Alamo Drafthouse, a very strict no talking policy. Alamo Drafthouse is famous for kicking people out.
Yeah, they even like little PSAs together that they show before their movies and stuff. Yeah.
And that's why I wish we had gone there, because we went to, not like it's going to matter. We went to a Regal theater and it was assigned seating because it's one of those theaters that has full recliners. And
this isn't a bash on the theater.
Just kind of explaining what happened.
Yeah.
But it's not like full service menu. You know, you get your stuff and you bring it in and popcorn, standard movie fare. And we were stuck.
They've added to their menu.
Yeah, they have added to the menu. We were stuck between an elderly. I don't know if it's right to call them elderly. I mean, they were older. An older couple who came in late, loud, tripping over everything because they couldn't see with the lights out in the theater.
Which that was what got me, though. It's kind of like there's a bar behind you, there's feet in front of you, and there's plenty of space for you to get by. Why are you hitting me?
Yeah. Run your butt along the bar until you get to your seats. Don't trip over our feet, because we even pulled our feet in and pulled the seats reclining down.
I'll give this to the wife, though. She was going, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
She went by.
Exactly. But on the other side of us was a guy who, for the whole 2.5 hours of the movie, was talking to no one. Now, when I say he's talking to no one, I don't mean this was somebody with a special circumstance or something
like they were schizophrenic or something like that.
I truly do not believe, from seeing how this guy interacted with members of the theater staff after the movie, because he walked out at the same time we did, there was nothing to make me believe there was any kind of mental disability or mental illness in play.
Yeah.
This was just a guy there by himself, clearly having seen the movie before because he was commenting about things before it happened.
Oh, was he?
Yeah. Just commenting after every funny line, every big thing. Oh, that dude's my favorite at full volume.
Yeah.
And the elderly couple were doing the same thing, but to each other.
Yeah.
And repeating lines they thought were funny. The whole movie was me going, shh, shh, to both sides. The dude to my left, the one by himself, didn't even register. Mm-hmm. I mean, he was just in his own world, having fun. The old guy, after, half an hour or so, finally got aggressive about it. Excuse me?
Yeah.
And looked, and I felt bad because I was looking over you and he was sitting right next to you and he just, excuse me? And I just looked at him and said, be quiet. Mm-hmm. Okay. And then he just backed down and they were quiet for a better part of the film. They still had issues. But, for the love of Pete, just shut up in a movie.
Okay, let's get to the movie now.
Okay, well, like I said, I wanted to talk about a bad part. But
that was the bad part.
That was the bad part. So, Black Panther, we've been waiting for this since Civil War. He was a standout.
Yeah.
I will not say he stole the movie, but he was definitely a high point of Civil War. I think Peter Parker stole Civil War.
Well, I'm going to say that none of them really stole the movie because it showed how well they worked together. They all worked fluidly as a team, as a part of an ensemble together.
Yeah, very much. So. Yeah, I can agree with that.
I think if Spider-Man stole the movie at all, it's because people were so excited that he was finally there after all the legal stuff that had been going on. It was like, yes, finally, stuff like that. Yeah. But other than that,
hey, Sony, this is how you do Spider-Man right.
Right. But oh goodness, I'm so happy I never saw the most recent ones other than
the Amazing Spider-Man movie. And again, you did.
I did?
You saw the first one. I saw the second one because when I used to work for Sam's Club, we had it playing on the demo.
Right.
So I eventually saw all of it just piece by piece. But
right.
We saw the first one, and you have that uncanny knack when you see a shitty movie, your brain hits the reset, and you go, wow, that's a piece of shit. Out of your brain. And you just go about your life happy as can be.
Are you sure that I was there when you saw it? Because I really have got
I remember sitting next to you on the couch watching it on Blu-ray.
And no recollection. Like, anything that's even going on around is gone. It's just deleted. Not there.
You're lucky.
Okay.
Very lucky.
All right, good.
But I remember seeing the trailer for Black Panther when it first hit. And it was, oh, damn.
Yeah, I know.
This looks good. And everything just looked better and better. And we heard a lot of hype leading up to it. And early reviews were really good.
Yeah.
And it was like 100% on Rotten Tomatoes for a while. And now it's ticked down like a couple notches, if that.
Yeah.
It's only been out for a few weeks. I think a month at most. And it's surpassed 1 billion at the box office. So
for worldwide.
So fantastic movie. Just to, just start off, Chadwick Boseman.
Yeah.
I can't imagine anybody else.
He's got so much charm.
He exudes everything that you really think the Black Panther should be. Mm-hmm. He's got the charm. He's got the dignity of royalty.
Mm-hmm. Good posture.
He's got the attitude when he needs it.
Yeah.
So
I don't know why that matters to me for this good posture. He's a king. He should stand up straight.
Yeah, exactly. You don't want him just slouching and that kind of stuff. But so, the movie does open with kind of a flashback where you see his father, T'Chaka.
I can't remember names. You know how I am with names.
And I prepared. I made sure that we had IMDb up because
up
even
and ready to go.
5 minutes after seeing the movie, we're like, okay, now how do you say this name again?
Well, with how I am, I normally like to watch movies with subtitles because there's so many things that I don't catch that I realize I didn't realize he said that until I see it in a subtitle. Yeah. And names names are said with such familiarity and so quickly that majority of the time in any movie I don't really catch names very well.
Yeah.
So
and it is T'Chaka.
T'Chaka.
Yeah, T'Chaka.
Okay.
And so we see the flashback to him coming down to like was it Oakland or something like that, and meets his brother. And as soon as his brother came up on screen, Sterling Brown.
Yes, I love Sterling Brown.
Oh, I was just like, hey, it's Darden. Just because the last thing I saw him in was the People versus OJ, the miniseries. My
mom used to watch Army Wives, and so I caught a few episodes of that with her, and he was really good in that. So,
and it's a very interesting scene, and I love that they set up so much with that scene that you don't know.
Yeah.
You don't realize just how much is paying off later on.
Yeah.
With just this one scene.
I know, because normally it's just kind of like, oh, flashback, okay. But this was like, oh, flashback. Oh, wow, there's actual information in there.
And they don't slap you in the face.
No,
it's not like a big neon sign like you see in other movies, like Star Trek, where they just stop a scene in the middle of everything to point to a tribble, like, what are you doing with that tribble, Bones? Oh, maybe this is going to come back later.
Right.
This is, it flows. The scene, it doesn't make sense, but okay, something's going to pay off, but it's not blatant.
Yeah.
But then it skips to present time, and this is the first kind of that I had about the movie.
Okay.
Because it's T'Challa on his ship, and he's about to be dropped into something. If you've seen the trailers, don't freeze. I'd never freeze. And
we said we weren't going to try to do
I
the
know
accents.
it's kind of hard not to sometimes. But what got me is he's watching the news broadcasts about the death of his father, and I'm thinking, how long after the events of Civil War
is this happening?
Is this taking place? Because this seems like it's
like
only
maybe like a week,
like less than a week, maybe. And at the end of Civil War, we saw Cap dropping off Bucky to Wakanda to be frozen. So it's like, where does that play? There's just there's some timeline stuff here that doesn't match up.
Yeah.
So then he drops in, kicks a little ass. Then we're introduced to Nakia.
Nakia, yeah.
Played by, and I always get her name wrong, Lupita Nyong'o.
I don't know.
But basically, I think she won an Oscar for 12 Years a Slave. Phenomenal actress. And I just love...
Didn't she win an Oscar this past year too, just a few weekends ago?
No, she was at the ceremony.
Okay,
but I don't even think she was nominated.
I thought she was.
But I love, people see that and they go, oh, I loved her in that movie. I loved her in this. And I'm like, oh, she's in Star Wars, right?
Yeah.
I don't remember her in Star Wars. And then I show him a picture of Maz. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my favorite, is just the fact that she's Maz. And in this, she is T'Challa's love interest.
Yeah. His ex.
Yeah, his ex. And they play it up.
Who he's still madly in love with. It's so cute.
And their relationship is a high point.
It is.
Of this movie full of high points.
Yeah.
The relationships just in general in this movie
They're really good.
Fantastic. And he's just there to get her to represent her people in his coronation.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And then so we get to Wakanda, and we, at that first view of Wakanda, you got to pay attention because there's so much information coming at you. Because what we know is that Wakanda's kind of hidden.
Yeah.
People know of Wakanda, but to the general public, it's a third world country. It's in rubble. But when you go through it's like
just farmland.
Yeah, it's just
like
farmland.
Poor farmland.
But when you get through the veil, then you see it's like the city of the future.
Yeah. Because
of the vibranium deposits. And it's not just a deposit. It's not like a little, cave has a little bit of vibranium. Mm. This is probably 100 stories deep mine.
Yeah.
of nothing but vibranium.
Isn't vibranium what Cap's shield is made out of?
Yeah. Now, in the comics, Cap's shield is made of
vibranium and
adamantium, but obviously,
because of
the 20th Century Fox.
Right.
So this is all just vibranium, and vibranium is used for everything in this society. And it's explained later, they even weave it into their clothes.
Yeah.
And you've got people just walking down the street, and down at the street level, it kind of looks like what you envision when you think of something taking place in Africa, the style of buildings, like an African city, street vendors cooking up things. But then you pan over and there's two guys talking, and their beads on their wrists are projecting a 3D image of somebody they're talking to. And it's like, that is a great blend.
It's a wonderful blending of what you would think of two different worlds,
Very much so. It gives you everything that you kind of expect when you hear Wakanda being a third world country. But the blending into the technology and the advancements is almost seamless. It makes sense for what you're seeing.
And there are things of it that I loved, like you talked about there having the street vendors who were cooking out on the street. They're not using replicators that they've used the vibranium to make. They're not doing anything with vibranium to create these like really high-end cooking grills or something like that.
Vibranium hasn't made them lazy.
Yeah, and well, it also at one point, T'Challa says something about something about family, how it's like they're one big family, and I can't remember what all he said, but you really get that sense down in the marketplace.
Yes,
they haven't forgotten the things that keep you close.
Very, and that's very apparent with the way that they interact as a society.
Yeah.
So then we get to meet T'Challa's family, his mom and his sister. Again, beautiful scene. Right off the bat, you understand the relationships.
Yeah.
Like him and his sister and Shuri, Princess Shuri.
She is so adorable.
She was amazing.
I love her. She was one of my favorite parts in the movie.
And she just she flips him off, and just that they have that brother sister relationship.
And then the mom's like, so he gets on her case about it, like over her shoulder too. Like, and she's like, sorry, mom.
But she ends up being like the genius of the movie. She is. Like you said, you
she's like Q.
Her. Yeah, she's the Q to his bond in many ways. And then his mom,
played by Angela Bassett.
That woman is like a fine wine.
Oh gosh,
she gets better the older she gets. She is gorgeous.
She is beautiful, absolutely.
And they have her in all of her. I don't want to say all of her glory, because she's not like a fighting character, but she stands her ground.
Yeah.
She's very much a queen that doesn't put up with shit.
Yeah.
And you see her regal and just standing with that air about her where you're like, oh, damn right, this is the queen of Wakanda. And then at the end of the movie, when they're kind of outcasts because of somebody taking over Wakanda, she lets her hair down and she's showing the gray and everything. And still, she carries herself with this elegance. That's why it's one of the reasons why I've loved Angela Bassett for 20 years now. She's just amazing. The woman that should have been Storm, freaking Halle Berry. But
you're not bitter,
not in the least. Then you got Forrest Whitaker is Zuri. Who's kind of like a senior advisor, and he was actually. His character was one of the ones you see in the flashback in the beginning.
A very younger version.
And
didn't you say that the guy playing the younger version played his son?
And the funny thing is, they share the last name Whitaker.
Oh,
but there's no relation whatsoever. But when you get to the guy playing T'Chaka in the flashback, is actually the son of the man that plays modern day T'Chaka. He played T'Chaka in Civil War, and he plays, I guess, like the ghost or the memory of T'Chaka in this.
Yeah, I would say like the spirit essence.
Yeah,
or something.
very much a spirit essence, and so that's why they look so much alike as freaking father and son. It's like Mark Shepard and his dad, playing,
and Mark Shepard,
playing different versions of themselves.
Yeah. Thing is, though, when watching the flashback, I was amazed. I thought it was just excellent casting to find someone to play a young T'Chaka who looks like T'Challa.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, they did such good casting to find someone who plays who looks so much like him. You could really see Chadwick Boseman being this guy's kid as he got older, and it's like, oh, dude, it's actually his son. Yeah. So I'm like, wow, this casting was spot on, because there was like, something about like the mouth formation and the jawline and something that looked very similar, and so I was like, hey, they look like they could actually be related. That's just really good casting.
So while we're on Wakanda, we see a lot of the other tribes, and there's four tribes together that make up the primary population of Wakanda, and then a fifth tribe that kind of just, once they found the vibranium,
they didn't want to join in with an ally.
Yeah, they don't want to join in because if I remember correctly, it was the whole thing of they didn't want the advancements. They felt like all the advancements were taking away what the Wakandan people are.
Was it that, or was it that they didn't want to be ruled? Like they want,
I forget.
I don't remember.
It's been about a week or so since.
No, it's been more like 2 weeks.
A week and a half, because it was a weekend before. Anyway,
yeah, whatever. Yeah.
But there's basically a tribe that kind of went off, and they're up in the mountains in the snow where it's cold, and they come down for the coronation, because this is where whoever is the ruler is also the Black Panther.
Yeah.
And he has to drink something that removes the power of the Black Panther, so he's just a normal strength, and then he has to fight either to the death or to the submission. Great fights, and it got you on the edge of your seat because they're fighting on a waterfall, and you're like, oh shit, somebody's gonna fall. And so we get to see a lot of that, and then we get to see a lot of the tech that they're working on, that the Princess Shuri is working on.
Well, and this is where you learn how brilliant Shuri actually is because she's taking so much of what they already have. Like T'Challa even says to her at one point, "It works fine. Why do you want to work on it? It's perfect the way it is." And she's like, just because it's perfect doesn't mean it can't be better. And she takes the stuff from him and takes it and keeps working on it and everything, and she makes it better. She finds these wonderful ways of improving it. I mean, she puts the Black Panther suit into a necklace to where it's like these little mini things that just come out and cover him. It's brilliant.
It made me think of Barry Allen from the comics.
Okay.
Where he actually houses his suit in the Flash ring.
I think Reverse Flash did that on the show.
Probably.
Yeah, if I remember correctly.
But we see
back to Marvel.
Yeah, back to but again, we get to see their relationship. Like, she's giving him crap for wearing ceremonial sandals, and she's like, "Here, try these on," and she says, "I based them off that old movie Dad used to watch," and then you could just hear people in the audience go, "Oh God, Back to the Future 2 is being called an old movie."
Is that what she was referencing?
Yeah, it's pretty much been confirmed that she was referencing the self-lacing shoes, because she just lays out these foot pads, and he steps on them, and boom, they just make sneakers. Which
and they're completely silent.
Yeah, she goes, "I call them sneakers." And it's such a fun scene. Every time they're on Wakanda in the opening, it's just fun. And then they shift over to Michael B. Jordan.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons I was so excited to go in to see this movie is a couple weeks before we saw it, finally got a chance to see Creed.
I didn't. You did.
You were. I was watching it on Amazon Prime. So if you got Amazon Prime, it's free on Prime. Go ahead and stream it. And I'm a big Rocky fan. I love the Rocky films. And I'm so disappointed that it took me this long to see Creed. Just hadn't had the opportunity. Such a beautiful movie. And Black Panther is directed by the guy that did Creed and Fruitvale Station, and Michael B. Jordan is in all three of those. So after seeing that, I'm like, oh, this is setting a high bar of precedence. Black Panther was even better than Creed. But anyway, Michael B. Jordan's there, and that's where I started getting a little disappointed.
Yeah.
Because he was just kind of playing the same character I've always seen him play. He's just... there was just nothing different, nothing standing out. He's a great actor, but again, it's just like I felt like he was playing Adonis Creed, just in a Marvel film. He's really interesting as Killmonger, and what is what you already kind of figure out just from watching is that he's actually the son of
Sterling Brown's
yeah,
character.
Sterling Brown, who was a prince. He was the brother of the king.
Yeah, he was T'Chaka's brother.
So this is royal bloodline that can compete with T'Challa,
right?
And have a real true claim to the throne,
right? And
he's working with Claw to get some vibranium out of the English museum that they're at. And Andy Serkis is such an underappreciated actor.
When he's not being goofy in this movie, he actually seems kind of badass. Like
very much so.
When he's walking into the club in Korea and everything, he's got that strut to him. It's like, geez, man.
And you just, and again, I think this is where we need to sound the spoiler alert.
Like, because we haven't done enough spoilers already. We've given the whole first part of the movie. Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert.
But I was kind of bummed that this is the film where he gets killed.
Yeah.
So no more Andy Serkis in the Marvel films.
Yeah.
I mean, he might do a cameo, but not like a
flashback thing.
But not a substantial role like he was in here.
But you know who I loved in this movie?
Martin Freeman. I was going to say Martin Freeman and Andy Serkis are basically the
two Tolkien guys.
There's a meme been going around that in a movie of all African cast, they're the two Tolkien white guys because of their roles in the Lord of the Rings movies. and I swear, there's a scene where Martin Freeman is interrogating Andy Serkis. I want there to be bloopers on the Blu-ray where Andy Serkis just pops into the Gollum voice, and just, T'Challa doesn't have any friends. You're a murderer. I want that more than anything right now.
Hold on. I think you broke me.
But just a side note, I was going to bring this up a little bit later when we talk about some of the reactions to the movie, but Martin Freeman actually said that he was kind of fascinated with the experience of being one of only just I think there's a total of 3 Caucasian people in the main cast of this movie. Him, Andy Serkis, and then one of Andy Serkis's guys.
Oh, really?
Are like the only Caucasians in this movie, and of major roles.
Right.
They have some guys like at the end, like the United Nations and stuff like that.
Right.
And he said that he was fascinated because he quickly realized, he's like, oh wow, this is how minority actors feel all the time.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a bad thing. Because he said he was treated exceptionally well on this. He enjoyed everything about it.
It was one of those mind-blown epiphany moments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of like what Trevor Noah said on The Daily Show, where people are complaining about an all African-American superhero film, and people are like, well, what if we just did a movie with an entirely white cast?
So you mean like every other movie?
Trevor Noah's like, yeah, that's called a movie. It's gotten so commonplace, people forget about it, and then here's a reminder. But anyway, so back to the movie itself. So now it turns into Michael B. Jordan trying to get to Wakanda to stake his claim for the throne.
Yeah.
And he's got all these scars on his body. But it's a beautiful pattern. It's not like Victor Zsasz from Batman.
Right. Or it's not like he's been tortured and he's got like these different types. I mean, it's like he's patterned it.
Yeah, and it's very much like African scarification.
Well, it reminds me of the other tribe that the best friend is from. He's got the scarring on his face. Like he did the same thing, did like that across his chest. And everything.
And it's the best friend. The character's name is, I want to get this right, and it's like M'Baku was the...
M'Baku.
M'Baku by Winston Duke.
Yeah, who was in Get Out.
He was nominated for the Best Actor Oscar this past year.
We still haven't seen that.
Yeah, that's another one that's on our list to watch. But Michael B. Jordan as Killmonger, he has the scars for the same reason Victor Zsasz does in Batman. It's for every kill. And...
that just kind of tells you he's a really bad guy, doesn't it?
Well, and that's the thing, is that you think he's a real bad guy, and then Martin Freeman's character says, this guy's not Wakandan. He's one of mine. And you find out he's a CIA agent. Mm-hmm. He is special forces. He's actually gone into the U.S. military and has done black ops. And he's basically an assassin for the military. Yeah. And nobody knew that he was Wakandan. He kept it quiet. Mm-hmm. So then there's a lot of jet setting in this movie too, which I thought was funny because the movie takes place in Wakanda. It takes place in South Korea.
Yeah.
All of it was filmed in Georgia. Just, I don't know how the hell Georgia became a good backdrop for Africa and Korea.
Yeah, really. How are they figuring that out? We need to film in Africa and Korea. Okay, let's go to Georgia.
Yeah.
How does that combine like that?
Well, it's like Jackie Chan. We need to rumble in the Bronx. We can't afford to shoot in New York, so we need a city that can double as New York. Mm-hmm. Let's go to Vancouver.
What?
Yeah, what? But they go to Korea and they go into what I call the Bond scene, mm-hmm. because it looked so much like the casino scene in Skyfall.
Oh, this is the one time I talked during the movie. I turned to you and I said, "Is that the casino from Skyfall?"
And I had to look. I didn't find any indication that it was. Mm-hmm. In Skyfall, it was actually a casino in Hong Kong. Mm-hmm. And I think they actually filmed in Hong Kong.
Oh, really?
For all of that. In this, there, from what I looked at, there was no indication of this. I think it was just a set in Georgia. But they come in and the tuxedos, and they're even doing the thing where they split. And I say they, just to explain, it's T'Challa. Mm-hmm. It is Nakia. And the unsung hero of this movie, and again, I'm going to butcher the name, but Okoye?
That's another one of the names I never caught being said. I never caught her name.
Denai Guerrilla, who's everybody knows from The Walking Dead. Mm-hmm. Plays Michonne.
I don't watch The Walking Dead, so I don't know.
But she's a badass on The Walking Dead, and here she is the biggest badass in the movie.
I love that the guards are all women.
Yeah. And it's fitting that one of the guards in this was also an Amazon in Wonder Woman. It's that level.
Yeah, and I looked her
badass.
up. Yeah, she's one of the primary guards at the very end that you see in the fight.
Yeah. But the leader, Okoye, I'm going to try to say her name as little as possible because I know I'm butchering it. She is just, shaved head, tatted head.
Yeah.
And they go into the casino and she's wearing a wig and she's just like,
can I take this thing
just
off
complaining the whole time. But she kicks ass the whole movie. Mm-hmm. And just one of my favorite characters because of her attitude. The humor that they throw in with her. It's just she again. There's so many great characters. It's kind of hard to pick just one favorite one.
I love the way she and Nakia work in the car chase scene.
Yes, which
how they work together.
Which is right after the casino.
Yeah,
but to comparing it to the Bond movie, in Skyfall, Bond and Moneypenny are there together, but they're all plugged in by their earpieces and they split up, and casing the place. Same thing here. You've got T'Challa and Nakia and the head of his guard. They're all there. They've got earpieces in. They split up, and it's the same kind of like. There's no way they didn't realize that they were doing a Bond scene. And they run into Martin Freeman, and that's when Claw shows up. Klaus. That's where Klaus shows up, and that's where the movie just kind of hits its stride. And doesn't let up.
That's where it hits the ground and starts running. Is that the phrase?
Hits the ground running.
Hits the ground running. Okay.
And from there, you've got the car chase scene, which had a very interesting aspect that I just kind of, at first I was like, huh? But then I saw how they were using it for the rest of the movie, and one of the things that the princess has created being...
Shuri? Is that
Shuri, that she created being kind of the cue is the remote access for a car. So they throw it on a car because T'Challa's needing to catch up. Mm-hmm. And he gets into his suit, and as soon as they hit the remote on the car, a 3D model pops up, like a hologram pops up in Shuri's lab. Mm-hmm. She gets in and she's driving.
Well, before she gets in the car, when the 3D model shows up, she's like, "Yes!" It was so adorable. She's so cute.
She was just waiting to be part of a mission.
Yeah.
So, jumping ahead a little bit, because I don't want to take forever like we have on some of our past
like the 2-hour one. Yeah.
So what this is coming, what it's going to culminate in. Mm-hmm. And it's a fight between Michael B. Jordan and Chadwick Boseman. T'Challa. And in this, Killmonger, Michael B. Jordan, kicks T'Challa's ass.
Yeah.
He basically, everybody thinks he's merciless. Dead. He is merciless, and he's talking shit. Just saying, this is your king. This is who you put your faith in. And he throws him off the waterfall, and everybody thinks T'Challa's dead. Killmonger.
Oh, the mother and sister scream when he goes over. It's heart-wrenching.
Killmonger is the new king of Wakanda.
Yeah.
And that's where everything for Wakanda changes, because before they were very much isolated. It was a long tradition that they kept their technology to themselves because they didn't want everybody to know what they could have, or what Wakanda could do and what they could have if they invaded.
Yeah.
So they were trying to protect themselves. Well, some people said that's not the way we need to do things. Killmonger comes in and is like, oh no, we're going to arm every black person in oppressed areas and downtrodden areas. Mm-hmm. So in, like, he mentions like neighborhoods in New York. Mm-hmm. And they even said, do we have our spies in New York, London, and Hong Kong? Mm-hmm. And that was a reference to Doctor Strange.
Oh, was it?
Because those are the three cities.
Oh, where they've got
the protection in. But they're just basically going to arm the world, or the African descended people of the world, and have them rise up.
Yeah. And basically, they're gonna. They're not even like trying to. He doesn't even want to even the stakes. He wants to reverse the stakes.
Yeah, very much. And there's some people in Wakanda that agree with him. Mm-hmm. One of them being M'Baku. Mm-hmm. And you kind of saw it coming. They definitely dropped some lines in earlier in the film where when you realize something's going to happen, you're like, okay, I already know who's going to side with who. Mm-hmm. And there was a conversation between T'Challa and M'Baku when T'Challa first gets back to Wakanda, where some things are kind of said that you might hear on Fox News.
Yeah.
It was basically, you bring in refugees, you bring in their problems. We need to close our borders. And it's like, oh, wow, this is kind of pertinent for today's society. So that's where some people kind of felt like the movie was political.
Yeah.
And I get that, but I think it kind of needed it.
Yeah.
I don't think popcorn action films and especially superhero films should stay away from being political, especially when you have a film that is at its very nature political. Like Jimmy Kimmel said at the Oscars, 2016 is or up to 2017 is going to be remembered as the year where the two biggest movies were a movie starring a woman, Wonder Woman, and a movie starring an African American,
Black Panther.
And he says, and I remember when it seemed crazy that you would have a comic book superhero film led by a black actor, and studios thought it wouldn't be successful. And he said, and I remember this because it was just last year.
Because it was 2016.
Yeah. And so there is some political and sociological repercussions for a movie like this.
Yeah.
So the fact that they wove that into the story, perfectly fine.
Yeah. Well, especially whenever you have a character who isn't just a superhero who's fighting to keep people safe. He's a king. He's got to deal with the politics of it.
Yeah. Yeah, very much so. And I never felt like it was a shot at one particular ideology or another.
Yeah.
It was just part of the story.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is, M'Baku is not really a bad guy. He sides with the bad guy for political reasons, but when you look at it, who's his love?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The leader of the guard is the one whose name I don't even want to try to pronounce anymore. But it really comes down to this battle of what's best for the people and what's best for the nation. He ends up fighting at the very end. He fights his love. And it's the whole thing of, he asks her, would you kill me? And she says, to protect Wakanda, I'd do it without a second thought. And that's when he drops the sword and goes, F this.
Well, he doesn't just drop it after that. There's like a slow motion moment where he stops and he looks around and he sees the people of these allied tribes fighting each other to the death.
Yeah.
And everything. And then he looks back at her, and that's when he drops his sword and he calls everybody to, to
do the same. And it's the realization that Killmonger he's not going to bring
peace
to Wakanda. He's been in power for a couple days.
And look at what everybody's doing
and
already.
They're already tearing each other apart. They're killing each other.
And then he wants to take the weapons that they are using on each other to kill each other, and take that out to the world where it's not an even battle. It wouldn't, at least on that battlefield, it was an even fight. They all had, similar skills, similar weapons, things like that.
Yeah.
You take that out to the world and give it to one side of a war. That's
a massacre.
It's a massacre. Yeah, that's all it is. It's a slaughter.
Now, earlier I mentioned that they had some things that would come into play with that early.
Right.
That flashback. And it was things like Forrest Whitaker being the best friend of Killmonger's dad.
Right.
And, the fact that Killmonger has a royal bloodline and stuff like that. And I mentioned that there wasn't anything that was just like a slap in the face, blatant foreshadowing. That's not to say that's not in this movie. They have a very blatant bit of foreshadowing, where I really thought they were going to stop the movie and have somebody go, and it's where
neon sign.
Yeah, Martin Freeman, he gets shot in the movie, and it's like he's on death's door, like it hit his spine.
Right, and he did it saving Nakia.
Yeah, it was a noble thing, and while the CIA or whoever the hell he's working with,
I think it's CIA. Yeah,
they're trying to stop the bleeding and all that. T'Challa basically says, "Let me have him. We can take care of him." And he's in Wakanda a day, and they repair everything.
He gets up, he's walking around and everything. He's looking at Shuri, going, "How long have I been here?" She's like, "You got here yesterday." And he's like, "That there's no way that that's possible." And she's like, "In Wakanda, it is."
Yeah. Because he doesn't even have a scar, no bandages or anything. Yeah. And which a lot of people have pointed out, wow, he couldn't do that for Rhodey? He fought on Rhodey's side in Civil War?
Yeah.
And Rhodey's now, like, you see the set pictures of Avengers Infinity War, Rhodey's having to walk around in this like robotic diaper with legs because he's like, seriously, it looks like
I have not seen that.
Yeah, he's wearing like this metal jock strap with bars going down the sides to help him walk. It's
Well, the thing is, I think probably because Martin Freeman's character, whose name I can't remember, he wasn't just hurt; he was gonna die.
Yeah,
he was gonna die, and he was gonna die saving the woman that he loved. You know, saving the woman that T'Challa loved.
Yeah, okay. I was just like, what? I don't remember that part of the movie.
Verifying.
Yeah.
Let me
he's saving
reiterate.
the woman the king
loves.
Yeah.
And so, you know, what do you do to pay someone back for something like that? Also, he's right there. Their ship is right there. You know, when you go back to Civil War, he's there, but you know, it's just him that's there. There's no ship there. There's no transportation, and he is also on a path for revenge at that time.
Yeah.
Now and also, you know, they weren't in this battle to try and between do we come out to the world? Do we let everybody know who we are? At this point, he was just straight up downright keep it all secret. It's you know, the secret is what matters, because he didn't know Rhodey. Could he trust Rhodey? You know, nothing like that. And then now it makes me wonder, could it even be possible now? Is the damage too far healed in the way that it is for them to
especially
fix it?
for Infinity War, it's gonna be like a couple years after the events of,
right.
you know, I mean, look at Steve in the trailers. Longer hair, full beard.
Yeah.
You know, it's been a while since
Well, how long can it take him to grow that beard? Seriously.
Well, if he grows facial hair like me, this is about 20 years after the events of Civil War.
but though, oh my gosh, brain work. But how long is there a time limit on when something just can't be repaired anymore?
Yeah. And I wondered that too, definitely. But so backtracking, Martin Freeman gets off the table and her lab is down in the mining area where they're mining the vibranium.
Oh, I don't remember what you're talking about now. Yeah.
He looks down and there's these trains just shooting by, and when the trains shoot by, these arms come down and do something to the train, and he asks what it is, and Shuri says that vibranium is volatile, so
it's very unstable.
to transport it, she figured out a way to like hit it with these rays from these bars to kind of temporarily diffuse basically the vibranium. And the way that they said it was very much a I wonder if this is going to come back.
Right.
And then you realize that Killmonger grabbed one of the other Black Panther suits, which is made of vibranium. And you're like, oh, gee, I wonder where the final fight is going to take place.
Yeah.
So,
and of course he went for the fancy one.
Yeah, he went for, and that's something that they point out where she has a couple different necklaces.
Yeah, she's got this big gold fancy one, and then there's the more smaller silvery looking one.
Very modest and humble for a king to wear. And that's the one that T'Challa picks, is the humble one. And then the one that Killmonger picks is the, yeah, that's right, I'm king.
And granted, T'Challa does say that he is tempted by the other one.
Yeah.
But he's thinking more logistically. He's like, he needs to be able to fit in when he's out and about, away from Wakanda and stuff like that.
Yeah, doesn't need to draw attention.
Right. Yeah, and that's what he says. You know, the point is to not draw attention.
And you know, this whole damn time I kept calling the guy M'Baku, Winston Duke. That's a completely different character. I'm just looking at the names. I'm not looking at the pictures. It was Wakabi.
Oh, okay.
Was the friend, was the advisor who turns on.
Okay.
And allies with Killmonger. M'Baku was the guy. It was the big sumbitch that is the ruler of the tribe that went away.
See, because when you said M'Baku, I'm like, okay, I heard that name somewhere in the movie. So that's got to be right. Okay.
Okay, so here's a big rule. If you're trying to figure out character names
Actually,
that
look
you
at
have
the
a hard time
faces?
remembering, match them to the faces. Don't just read the names. I'm sorry, I'm an idiot.
No,
But
you're not an idiot. Stop it.
But now this is a good opportunity to mention M'Baku, the actual M'Baku.
He's funny.
He's
an interesting character.
When he's first seen, he's actually the one guy in the original Coronation that challenges for the
T'Challa, yeah.
Challenges for the ruling status. He wants to take T'Challa's power,
and he's the leader of the
tribe that broke off,
right?
And so I didn't think he was going to be a major player at the end of the movie. Yeah, he's a real major player.
Yeah, because
while they think T'Challa's dead, the mom and sister get the last little thing, the thing that gives the Black Panther his power.
Mm-hmm. It's that flower.
It's a flower. Killmonger torches everything.
I've never understood why he torches it.
Because he doesn't want anybody else to have that power. It's the whole thing of, and he even says, this ends with me.
But it's like, dude, you idiot. You're not immortal. If you're going to have a kid, that kid is going to succeed you. That kid's going to have the power too.
Some people just want to watch the world burn. And that's all Killmonger cared about. He just wanted the world to burn. Yeah. I don't think he had any intention of continuing a line. He just wanted to bring down the world that he felt turned its back on him. But they take the last one to M'Baku to give it to him.
Yeah.
So he can have the power of the Black Panther and kick the crap out of Killmonger.
Yeah.
And that scene is brilliant because Martin Freeman's there and he just looks at him and says, you say one more thing, we will eat you. Just kidding, we're vegetarians.
It's so funny.
That's the thing, is you don't realize he's a funny ass character and he's really a likable guy because when you see him before, he's standoffish, he's confrontational.
You're like, you cocky little son of a
I could hear you go, I want to say the F word, but I'm going to say it. But we really see that he's also a noble guy because he has this opportunity to get the power of the Black Panther. And he's like, no, somebody else deserves it. Somebody else has earned it. And that's when he takes him to the back and reveals that T'Challa's alive. He's in a coma.
Yeah.
But he's alive and they're keeping him in the ice otherwise he's just going to die.
Yeah.
So they give him the last flower. He now has the power of the Black Panther again. And they have this big knockdown, drag out fight with the other tribes. And it is like a Wakandan civil war. Mm-hmm. And they get down to the fight between him and Killmonger, which is really intense, but I felt like it was overshadowed by the other fights going on.
Yeah. Because
the other fights had CG to them because, you had people riding rhinos and stuff like that, but there was more emotion in that fight.
Yeah.
The fight between Killmonger and T'Challa just wasn't... It was just a fight.
Yeah.
It was just a CGI fest. And yeah, they were fighting on the train tracks. When those things would come down, it would like deactivate their suits, and that's when they get hit with things. And while their suits are deactivated is when T'Challa goes in for the kill and stabs Killmonger right, like almost seems like right in the chest.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and it's like really close to the heart, it looks like, yeah.
And that's where we have another scene where we find out that T'Challa's main course of taking on an enemy is to squat down on their right side and try to talk them down. Because that's what he does with, what's his name, Zola, something like that.
I don't know.
In Civil War. Mm-hmm. After the guy thinks that he's ruined the Avengers, he's going to kill himself, and T'Challa stands next to him, squats down, and talks to him, and then saves his life. Same thing here. He starts talking to Killmonger, and Killmonger says that his dad always told him that the sunsets in Wakanda were beautiful. So he takes him up to see the sunset, and he's like, "We can save you." And he goes, "Nah, I'm done." And he just Killmonger pulls the knife out and bleeds to death.
Well, he says that I can't remember the exact things that he says, but he talks about how he didn't want to live in a cage because he would be in prison. He would live the rest of his life in a cage, and he would rather die the way his ancestors died, who jumped off the boats on their way to America.
Yeah, well, he even said, "Please, bury me at sea, like my ancestors who realized it was better to jump off the ship and die than to live in chains."
Yeah,
and it's just like, damn, I don't want to like Killmonger, but that's a badass thing to say.
That's the thing. Everything that he's done, was horrible stuff. If he's done it because he's hurting, and it really is
finding his father. He's hurting because he's the one that found his father dying.
Yeah, well, and it's not just that. He found his father dead, and then he was raised in poor areas on the streets and stuff like that for the exact
foster homes
and everything, and for the exact same things that that Killmonger actually talked about throughout the whole movie was poor black kids being oppressed, and then still being oppressed as they're older, just simply because of the color of their skin, things like that. And I think it is it's also such a aside from those political points, that moment whenever you see that he is so hurting, everything he's been doing is because he is hurting so bad. It really shows you kind of the state of how people are in the world today whenever they lash out. That it's not so much because they're mean people or anything, but they're hurting.
Yeah. And again, it's got a great message. And that's something that not a lot of comic book movies carry. But in this, it's a great story. It's a great message. And it just happens to be an action comic book film. Yeah. I really do think ultimately this is one of the top 5 films Marvel's done. Yeah. I just...
Also,
loved it.
And aside from the messages that it holds, it was fun. I had so much fun watching this movie, like the car chase scene and stuff like that. Yeah. The chemistry between all the different characters and everything.
Even with the frustration of sitting in between people that wouldn't shut the hell up, we still enjoyed it, and we walked out laughing and smiling. Yeah. And really looking forward to seeing them return in Infinity Wars. Yeah. Because we're getting a lot of Wakanda in Infinity Wars, because it's, where we see Cap, obviously Black Panther. A lot of Black Panther's, the head of his guard is going to be in Infinity Wars.
We're going to have to get information on Bucky too.
Yeah, and Bucky. And that's something else, is that the last time we see Bucky, he's going into the freezer.
Right.
In
Wakanda.
In Wakanda. And then when they bring in Ross, Martin Freeman's character, and I only remember that because after you said you couldn't remember his name, I looked it up. When they bring him in, Shuri makes the line about, "Oh, you brought me another broken white boy to fix." Yeah. And I only knew that was like, I only caught that because the guy to my left that wouldn't shut up actually started saying, "Oh, you know who they're talking about, Bucky." It's like,
oh my gosh, did he really do that?
And so there's 2 post-credit scenes, and the very last one at the end of everything is some kids looking down, and you get the POV shot of looking up. And the kids get out of this hut, and Shuri's standing on the water, and Bucky walks out wearing all white and
missing an arm,
and Bucky's now the White Wolf.
Yeah.
And that's straight out of the comics. And apparently in Infinity Wars, he's not going to even be referenced as the Winter Soldier. If anything, he's going to be called Bucky or the White Wolf.
Yeah.
And I've heard rumors that this is to prep him for being the new Cap.
Yeah.
Because there is talk now. They are thinking about rebooting the Marvel franchise. You know, it's been going for 10 years.
They recently had their
films.
They recently had their whole reunion thing.
Yeah,
where they
bringing
got all
everyone
of them
together. And Infinity Wars is this huge crossover event. So there's talk about rebooting, but it's not going to be a full reboot because we just now got Spider-Man.
Yeah.
You know, Spider-Man, the sequel to Homecoming just started filming.
Oh, did it?
Yeah.
Goody.
So we're gonna get, you know, we got a Black Widow movie finally coming out.
Really? I didn't hear about that.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, we're getting a Black Widow movie.
Good.
They have confirmed
Finally.
we're getting Black Widow. Gonna get Black Panther 2.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it. So it's not going to be a whole huge reboot, but Chris Evans has said he's looking to retire from acting.
From acting, yeah.
He wants to go behind the scenes, just stop being on screen.
Right.
So now there's talk that Captain America is going to be the first legacy character in the Marvel films, to where they're going to do something where somebody else, they're going to have Captain America 4 starring Sebastian Stan.
Yeah.
Or starring, if they want to go the route that's in the comics now, Anthony Mackie as Cap, because Falcon's Cap at one point. I think he is now still too. But
it makes sense that if they're going to start doing the legacy characters, to start with, you know, Bucky or Falcon, or what is Falcon's what's Falcon's name? Like his person name? I can't remember his person name.
I only remember Falcon and Anthony Mackie. Oh my god.
Oh my gosh. And the fact that I'm calling it his person name?
Yeah, his person name.
His person
name.
We're
not tired and drinking right now. But you know, you look, there's several legacy characters in Marvel. Thor. You know, Jane Foster was Thor for a little bit, the female Thor. You know, we've got somebody else as Iron Man. I don't know the character's name, but
Sam.
Sam
Wilson.
Why couldn't we remember Sam?
I know, right?
At least we called him by his right name instead of another character's name, like we did for half a freaking episode tonight. I'm so upset. I wish I could go back and edit all that out, but it's just going to have to go forward. But,
have that little clip in there where the audio sounds different because you just spotted it in.
And then, the character of, just very obviously changed. But, you know, we're going to get these legacy characters because, you know, Iron Man, quote unquote, Iron Man, is now an MIT student, a young African-American girl. Which leads me into my next point. There is now a fan outcry.
Oh, that would be awesome. I know what you're talking about.
Princess Shuri be the new Iron Man.
She could with the tech and stuff that she came up with for Wakanda. She totally could. She would be an excellent legacy. But what I was saying a minute ago before I was like, I can't remember his people name, is that I think that having either Bucky or Sam Wilson, see, I know his people name now, would be an excellent first legacy, because even though he wasn't the first of the Marvel movies, Cap wasn't, he still, you know, as Captain America subtitle, the first Avenger. Yeah. The first movie isn't just called Captain America. Yeah. It's called Captain America, the First Avenger. And so I think it would be apropos for him to be the first legacy. Yes. For him to get the first legacy. Yes. Not to be the first legacy, but to get the first legacy. He wouldn't actually be the first legacy.
But at the same time, Chris Evans has been such an amazing Captain America.
And you had such doubts at the beginning.
I am sorry. When you look at Chris Evans in other movies, in Fantastic Four, this is the dude
date movie,
the whipped cream bikini. I'm sorry. I was a little concerned about him being Captain America. Thank you, Chris Evans, for proving me wrong and being my favorite Marvel character. But good God, don't blame anybody for being concerned when they're like, this dude's going to be Captain America? And now years later, we're like, I don't want him to not. No, don't leave. He's got to be Cap.
Okay, none of that there was intelligible at all.
For the most part, Marvel has had an amazing track record with casting. And I think Black Panther just took that to another level.
Yeah.
Because even your minor characters are memorable and amazing to watch, even if they're on screen for 5 minutes at most.
Even if you're getting their name wrong.
Even if we're getting their name completely wrong. But then the other end credit sequence that we had, I felt like shouldn't have been an end credit sequence. I felt like it should have just been the end of the movie.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because the end of the movie is T'Challa and Shuri on the basketball courts next to the building that the movie started in the flashback, where his dad killed their uncle. And he talks about how they've bought the building and the building next to it and the building over there. And he mentions that now Wakanda is actually setting up like refugee centers all across the world to help people who are in poverty areas.
And then they take the cloaking off of their
they take the cloaking off the ship in front of all the kids, and it's like, damn.
The kids start trying to figure out how they can chop it for parts and sell off the pieces.
Yeah. And so it's like, but then you get that one kid who walks up to him and is like, who are you?
He's like, is this your ride, man?
And it's such a beautiful scene because it's that whole thing of now this kid has a hero.
Yeah.
And I love that part. And I understand why that was the end of the movie.
Yeah.
But then you have, I don't think this. Now let me backtrack and kind of change what I was saying. I don't think this first credit sequence should have been the end of the movie, but it should have been in the movie itself. Yeah. Maybe the scene before all that, where they go to the United Nations and they say that for too long Wakanda has been in the shadows. Well, now we're going to help people.
Yeah.
And some wise ass in the UN says, what's a third world country of farmers going to do to help? What can you have that's going to help us? And they all just smile.
Well, then it goes also to Ross is sitting in the back, Martin Freeman's character. Yeah. He's sitting in the back and he just kind of grins.
Yeah, he's just like, oh, just wait and see kind of thing.
Well, because until he was taken to Wakanda to be healed, he thought the same thing. He was like, just the third world country of farmers, what can they possibly have to offer? T'Challa's the king of a third world country of farmers. Oh, big deal. But no, I mean, he's the king of this, huge society, huge advanced society. And so he's got this grin on his face because he's in the know. Yeah.
Now, before we wrap this up and give our overall ratings and opinions,
we need to come up with an actual rating system.
We do. We definitely. We're just doing a scale of 1 to 10 or a grade or whatever. But
I think we should use my dad's rating system.
Number of boobs.
No, remember whenever I talk about how he rates shows. Oh, it's all right, or it's cool. I like it, or the one time rating that he's ever given me for a show is, oh, you're missing out.
But I don't want to joke about this, but it's too much of a connection to not say something. What is it about men in Wakanda? When they get older, their left eye gets all funky.
Oh, don't say that. That's not nice.
It's just, for the longest time, Forrest Whitaker has been the butt of jokes about his lazy eye.
Yeah.
And even in...
It's even on a...
The posters, they actually CG'd or did something to where you can't even tell that he's got the...
Really?
Yeah, there's a poster where they fixed it, and people were putting that online saying, man, you want to know how advanced the shit in Wakanda is? They fixed Forrest Whitaker's eye.
It's even mentioned in a Bowling for Soup song.
He's got a lazy eye. But in the movie, he has his Forrest Whitaker eye.
Forrest Whitaker wants you back. Sorry.
But the dad, T'Chaka, same thing. He's got a drooping left eye. And then I was reading up afterwards that the actor lost his eye in, I think, a very serious, like, beating. Like, I think he was beaten by authorities.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, poor man.
I felt like I said, I don't want to make fun of it, but it's too not perfect, but it's like the two older men in Wakanda that you see both have drooping left eyes, and it's just like,
I just had a thought.
Oh no.
He and Mark Sheppard need to be in a movie together, and then it could be a movie where it flashes back to their younger selves, and their sons can be playing their younger selves.
Yeah, but Mark Sheppard Sr.'s missing his right eye, not his left.
Yes, they can be each other's other eyes, you know? They can...
Oh my god, there's too many bad jokes coming up. It just...
I actually kind of like that idea.
Okay, so let's get off the eyes have it. That's enough.
Oh my gosh, I think I'm a little bit buzzed. Oh my gosh, I didn't have that much.
All right, so let's wrap this up. Final ratings. Let's just get it over with. Scale of 1 to 10, what would you give this movie?
Hold on, I gotta stop laughing. Because all I want to say is, oh, you're missing out. I'm broken again. Because I never give anything a perfect rating, I'm going to give it a 9.
I've got to agree with you. This was close to perfect. Mm-hmm. Like I said, it's probably one of my top 5 Marvel films.
Yeah, there have been other comic book films, Marvel and DC alike, that I've looked forward to. I'm like, oh man, yeah, I'm so looking forward to that. And we go to see it, and I walk out of the theater going, no, it was good. I liked it. You know, I'm not gonna like jump up for joy and rave about it, but I liked it. You know, or like even the most recent Star Wars movies. You know, I'm like, okay, you know, I liked it. I'm not like jumping for joy for it, but I liked it. But this one here, I had so much fun with it. I was like grinning during it. I walked out of the theater going, I cannot wait to see that again. I had so much fun with this movie. And not only was it fun, it was well done. Which lately nowadays, it seems like you've got to choose between well done and fun. You can't really have both in a movie anymore.
Looking in your direction, Thor Ragnarok. Bastards.
That's a podcast for another time.
Yeah, it's called The Next Podcast.
But, you know, it was fun. It was well done. It had excellent casting. The chemistry between the actors was so good. You could definitely see the brother-sister relationship between T'Challa and Shuri. It was so nicely just portrayed and put out there. And I remember watching that going, "Aww, I wish I had a relationship with my brother like that." and I walked out of it just feeling so good about what I had seen.
Yeah. And same here. For the most part, a lot of the Marvel films as of late, I'm kind of like, okay, that was interesting. It was worth a watch, but nothing I'm really going to be tripping over my own feet to run and get the Blu-ray when it comes out.
Yeah.
Like the Guardians of the Galaxy movies.
You don't even want those. We'll get them eventually because the girls love
our
Groot.
daughters love them. But for me,
especially Baby Groot.
Yeah, Baby Groot. Like, I can find enjoyment in them, but I don't get the people that say that they're the best Marvel films. I don't get that.
Yeah.
But for me, like, the Cap movies are the pinnacle. Spider-Man Homecoming is... I know some of our friends didn't like it. I know a lot of people that are like, man, this isn't even the best Spider-Man movie. To me, it is.
Yeah.
I loved that movie. That is definitely a top for me. Doctor Strange.
Oh, Doctor Strange was really good.
So much fun and a good film.
The only thing that I don't like about Doctor Strange, and not to start, another one, but what's her face? Amy Adams? Is that her name? No, Amy Adams was Lois Lane, wasn't she?
Yeah, Rachel McAdams.
Rachel McAdams. Anything that she's in, whenever she's in it, I'm just kind of like, that could have been deleted.
Yeah,
okay,
she's kind of like Jessica Biel.
She's forgettable.
Yeah, she's very forgettable.
I'm sorry, Rachel McAdams.
We know she's a listener. We know she's a listener. Sorry, Rachel. We'll make it up to you in a future episode. But Doctor Strange is up there, and I put Black Panther up there with it, just as my favorite of the Marvel films. Yeah,
I liked Doctor Strange, but I didn't have nearly as much fun with it as I did with Black Panther. I had fun with Doctor Strange, but with Black Panther, I loved it. I absolutely loved it.
And this is definitely a day one buy.
Yeah.
As soon as this hits Blu-ray, day one, we're running up to the store and grabbing it. I can't wait to show this to the girls. I can't wait to watch it again and again. Just overall, so much fun.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I want to close on with this movie that will lead into something I just complained about and something we're going to talk about in a future episode, probably the next one, the humor.
Yeah.
It was funny where it needed to be.
Yeah.
Let me say that again. Funny where it needed to be. It wasn't hitting you over the head with the humor every 30 seconds like Thor Ragnarok.
This is going to become a theme.
Finally got to see that. It's out on Blu-ray. And I'm so conflicted.
Yeah.
Because I found it enjoyable. I liked the 80s atmosphere, the music. I liked aspects of what I saw. And you had told me that it was too funny. Or they tried too hard to be funny.
Yeah.
It was too much of a comedy. And you warned me, and I still don't feel like it was enough. We're going to have to talk about this probably the next episode. Movies that are trying too hard to be funny.
Yeah.
And that is first and foremost the movie we're going to talk about. But again, we're going to talk about that coming up. I swear at some point we're going to get our buddies together from the Phoenix Ghostbusters and talk about Star Wars.
Maybe when the next one comes out.
Yeah, maybe at some point soon. I mean, we've got The Last Jedi coming out on Blu-ray at the end of this month.
Oh, that's a good time to do it.
So that would be a great time to do it. Get everybody together. Maybe.
When does Han Solo come out?
Han Solo comes out this summer, I believe.
I was going to say, because I knew it wasn't in November like the others have been.
Yeah, and because it got pushed back because of the directors getting fired and then Ron Howard having to take over. The trailers are out for Solo. It doesn't look too bad. I'm more...
You're giddy.
I'm giddy just because it's Chewbacca and the Millennium Falcon. That right there. Okay, I'm fine. Let's go. I don't care if, there's now memes going around of, aren't you a little short to be a stormtrooper? But it's, aren't you a little short to be Han Solo? Because the guy playing Han Solo is only like 5'7".
Oh gosh,
Harrison
really?
Ford is,
he's like 6'2" or something like that. Yeah.
But anyway, we've got several episodes coming up soon.
Maybe he has a growth spurt.
No. At this point, he's supposedly fully grown. Did they have to shorten down Chewbacca so the difference isn't that noticeable?
Maybe they put him on egg crates or something. Not egg crates, egg cartons.
Egg crates.
Egg crates?
Yeah.
Crates. Yes, because cartons are the flimsy ones. Oh
so
my gosh.
Definitely time to pack it in for tonight. Don't forget, we're shifting everything over to YouTube. And once we get a few more subscribers on YouTube, we'll actually be able to change it to youtube.com/the Containment Unit Podcast. You have to hit a certain milestone
do you?
with your subscribers before you can actually change it. So right now we're just youtube.com user 431 blah, 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 blah. But just search the Containment Unit Podcast on YouTube. We're right there. We're going to keep SoundCloud going, but we're just going to be doing the thing where only the most recent episode is accessible. Mm-hmm. All the entire back catalog, all like 12 or 13 episodes we've done. Woohoo! We've stuck around for a dozen. They're going to be on YouTube, but I want to thank you for listening, and we'll see you in a couple weeks.
Later.
Vanity. Definitely my favorite sin.